Good morning. It's Saturday, October 19th, 2024. As the Wall Street Weekly wrap up with your host, John Newquist, and a mixed week. This is going to sound like an all-tech show, but that's all it was for news. It was a big deal. Let's start out with one of our big plays. We bought this in August 2023 for $92. It's over $200. The revenues, this earning, I thought was pretty amazing. They reported revenues in line, guided Q4 revenues above consensus. Anytime anybody guides higher in tech, that's a good sign. Look at this revenue. They rose 36%. And if they could make more, they would have done more. They said the smartphone and the AI demand. They're making chips for both. Demand is there. And I tell you, who's making the smartphone coming out? It's Apple. We'll build more chips, and of course, Europe has got a lot of the auto manufacturers and stuff like that. They're going to block the EVs from China, so guess what? They need advanced chips and autonomous driving. That's what everybody's starting to look at. And who's going to make the chips? Taiwan Semiconductor. Data centers in Europe. Remember, NVIDIA's big here. All the chips here. Europe is second. Japan, second, maybe third. And in robotics, all this stuff is smarter, pick up stuff. I mean, there's chips. Who makes them? There's also Foxconn and Intel, and to some extent other companies, but Taiwan is the king. They got the processing down, and it's going there. NVIDIA, our king of all our stocks. Blackwell, the second big AI chip after our Grace Hopper. Sold out for the next 12 months. Who buying them? Oh my God, it's Google, Microsoft, Meta, and then fourth place I'd put Amazon. $10 billion, $8 billion, $2 billion. Wow. And I get into classes, it's 20 people. How many people use AI? Lucky to have three. Three. They don't see it. They say it's something that other people use. I use it every day. Every day. Wow. What's the market? Look at this. Remember, we're almost double from what it was at the low of August. We're up above this. Remember, we were at 28%, so we're probably at 30. If I had a running calculator of all my stocks, we could track that, but I don't. Russell's coming up double digits. That's not bad. This week, the Dow and the SPY, S&P 500, all-time high. So, this is the Dow chart. Look at this. This is a nice solid slope. They're up there. Now, what I always look at is something they don't talk about in charting. I look at the gap between the lows and stuff, and that's a big gap. This one's a big gap, and then we had a correction. So it goes in. This one's a pretty big gap, and it slowly went up, but this one, pretty high. So I expect a 5 to 20% correction in the next 3 months, and it could be for any one reason. It could be war, it could be economics, it could be bad data. And it could be after the election. Who knows? But you got to be diversified. You're in one sector, but that sector is the one you don't want to get hit. And that's Murphy's Law. You'll get hit. Indicators, 2-year note down to 3.5. Again, they're waiting for the November rate cut of probably of a quarter. Some people are saying maybe it's 0. Okay. Oil, my God. The Iranians throw it. It's up in the mid-70s, and now it's back down to 68. I says, wait, Israel's got to reattack, And, of course, Israel came out and kind of smoothed it out. So I don't think we're going to attack the refineries and the nuclear facilities, just military targets. Well, you cripple the nuclear and the oil, they don't have any military anymore. But they got $3 million missiles, or no, was it 3,000 surface-to-air missiles still to go, so. Natural gas is falling, and there's people like, wait a minute, the winter's coming. Why isn't it going up? Because we got a lot of natural gas, a lot. Gold, wow, 2,700, boom, boom. That's some money. Silver, $33. Look at this chart. Here's our previous high. Remember, an all-time high is going back to Bunker Hunt when he was cornering the steel market at $50. That would be like something $150 today. But this is a pretty solid chart. Silver miners are doing well. Gotta have silver. We buy the raw silver. You just go in there and buy it. But, they would buy it out when it was low, when they got it $18 and stuff. So now it's up at $33. We're almost double what we bought it at. Copper, we're all watching. 450 is a good number. That means housing's doing up. Morgan Stanley, one of our key stocks in our financial sector, been with us for a few years. All-time high. Look at this. Boom. This thing is huge. Revenues, good. Revenues 15%. That is nice. And then CEO Ted Pick, growth and consistency. You know, this slope is slow. You know, it's not going up as fast as some of the other ones, but that's okay. But, you know, no more zero interest rates, zero inflation. They want to get to $10 trillion in wealth assets. Remember, they're money managers. They're telling people where to put the money, and there's a lot of money to be put to work, and, you know, 60-40, 110 rule, all these other things for a portfolio. That's what you're going to pay them money to tell you where to put it. And hopefully you'll do better than the average. Well, good luck. Uranium, my God. Google will support construction of 7 smaller nuclear reactors. Oh my God, look at this URA. We were in here, down here, remember? Buying it around this, and now it's jumped up. This is like, you think it is like a textile. This is uranium, all the uranium stuff. Companies who make it, mine it, sell it, make the reactors, make the operation, and sell the power. So this is a overall, you know, instead of betting one. Again, you know, we watch. We're watching the 50-day. When it crosses here, it's going to be higher. So, you know, this is choppy. I mean, you cannot help but sit there and think, wow, I'm getting seasick looking at this chart. And you will be. But that's the nature. We think it's a long-term trend, so we're going to be in it for a while. Of course, I can't spell Apple right. I spelled Apple instead of AALP, and hopefully I got the Apple chart, you know. But they wanted a smart speaker, you know. So, hey, Alexa, what's the temperature today?
Good evening, John. Right now, it's 59 degrees Fahrenheit. Tonight, expect a low of 38 degrees.
There you are, 38 degrees. You remember, it's Google and Alexa, and they're starting to realize this market could be 61 billion by 2023. And they ain't got a part of it right now.
FortuneBusinessInsights.com.
Alexa, stop. You know, I know you want to help out, but that's it. Now, I want to talk about Google, because Google has Gemini Advanced. Gemini has been beat up. It's been like the fifth leg between Chat, GPT, and Meta, and Perplexity, and Claude. And then I sit down with Google, and they said, no, this is really good. You need to get it. All right, I'll give you a couple things. I want to see this done, because, you know, the Google Gemini normal didn't answer it, give you crappy answers, and I was like, okay, this is good. I've been playing it with it for a solid week. This thing is worth the $20 a month. And, you know, I asked them to, what's your picture look like? I'm Jessica, and that's what it sees as its self-image. Helpful, smiley, kind of short, but, you know, we don't know how tall that is. But this is it. And it's a big deal. And so I might have to go for, you know, maybe a Google instead of an Alexa, because they're going to have that stuff right there. It's ready now. Amazon's going to hopefully get it ready. But I tell people, there's a free trial for a month. You can try it. But if you got somebody that has it, it's on your phone, it's on the Pixel 9, it's on your internet. You can't get the Advanced unless you pay for it. But somebody who has it can show you what it does, and you can compare. Because I've been doing all these, you know, tests of comparison and everything else. So Google stock, oh, well, the trend is upward still. You know, the 20-day dripped a little bit below the 200. It's buried it. It's coming in a negative channel, but it's also got an upward slope following this 200-day moving average. We don't know which way it'll break. You know, Justice Department wants to talk about things. So I always look at it, you know, you can buy it now. And if it drops down to 159, you get out of it. Take a small 5% loss. Not a low risk, potentially higher reward. But this is really good. And again, Google, you know, gets kind of a lot of flack. Like it's a horrible company. I think, no, it's actually exceptional. SIRI is the what I use every day. It's in my car. It's on my phone. I have SIRI everywhere. Yeah, I pay $23 a month, but that's worth it because I'm listening to it a lot because I'm in the car a lot. And, you know, I can listen to podcasts and everything else. Well, guess who got podcasts? SIRI, everybody. So when Warren Buffett bought his first stake of SIRI, it perked my ears up, and I says, you know, this was a 10-to-1 negative split. Usually you don't ever want to touch a stock. And you start thinking, here's the guy that's got billions and billions of dollars. Berkshire Hathaway, almost $1 trillion company. Why are they buying this stock? He's not talked about it. But I've learned with Buffett, when you got that money, you got access to stuff we can't even see. So we're in here, and we're buying it. And where will it go? Look at it, what it was. It could double just from last year. You lost half your money. So think about it. That's a low risk. I mean, it can go down. If it goes down to $20, you sell out and take a 20-30% drop, or if you can cut a tighter stop. But I think there's an interesting thing. And here's the 200-day. It's still there. A lot of people are watching this. If it gets above 35, goes above this, you're going to get buyers. Remember, we are one good news story being back up at this number. One good story, we could be at 55. So we'll see. Netflix, we don't own. We watch it. You kind of wish you bought it back in when it was down in the 250s, 280s when I had a bad quarter. And, now you've tripled your money since then. If you did that, it was great for you. Earnings are solid. Revenues 15%. That's solid. Double-digit revenues. That's, a lot better than single digits. And it's a slow channel upward. Boy, I love that slope. Holy smokes, look at that slope. It's a nice gentle slope upward, and it's doing well. It's got more content than everybody. They find out more content, more subscribers, more renewals, more content. Billions of dollars to spend on content. They got more than everybody, I think. Amazon, they're going to put the Blackwell chip, but it won't be available till next year. Oh, no surprise. This is how they make a story like, oh, let's beat up Amazon. It's not going to be ready. Nobody's got the Blackwell chip ready. Nobody. I am at these data centers. This is what they want. They want the data center, get it ready, get it up. So when they bring those chips into the servers, it's ready to go. So nobody's going to get it done in the next 5 months, 6 months. But they got the chips. Remember, Google, Microsoft, Meta, Amazon's going to get the chips. Maybe Oracle too. This is what's going to be the difference. And you could imagine AI hitting Alexa and going in and, making the difference. And all of a sudden, you're getting intelligent conversation with Alexa or the Google version or even Jessica and stuff. So, again, a fumbling chart. It's been sideways for several months, and people just don't like that in tech. But this chart is a nice slower rise. Again, we watch the slower average, the 50 moving day, which is the orange one. It come close. Even if it goes, we're sticking with it because this company dominates retail. And number one, American Express came out with earnings today, and boy, they didn't like this. This thing just popped down and dropped a little bit. But boy, nice little slope upwards. Solid company. Revenues 8% for financial. That's okay. That's a solid one. It's not like low revenues. It's not like losing things. Earning, profitable. What a nice company. So, we're heavy on financial. We got enough with J.P. Morgan and Morgan Stanley, and if this was called American Morgan, we probably would buy it. But home builders, you know what they're finding out? They did a study, and it didn't get them out of play in Bloomberg, but home builders are starting to pick up all these single-family houses. Remember, they got millions and millions of dollars to buy thousands of houses. And what are they doing? Well, we can fix these up real easy. Instead of building new property, buying the land at a lot of money, just pick up something, fix it up, and then we got high rent. And I look at the XXB. This is a nice chart, nice solid upward. They've been doing well. Now you're going to go in after this. Now I want to buy a house. I got to compete against KB Homes and all these other people, Pulte. Woo! Those that have a house now are sitting in a driver's seat. It is going to be tougher and tougher to buy. Because if they find out it's easier to take these houses and we can make more because people want to have 3 people, but you can't afford the rent, you can't put the down payment down, you're going to have to rent. You may be renting till you're 35, 40, 50 years old before you could actually have a house and save up the money. That's a big paradigm shift if this is actually going to be, playing out. And, and the houses are out there. So, you got houses $500,000, $1 million. You got to put, what, $100,000 down just to do a 10%? It's hard to save. You better be doing a good job. China, up, up, up. And then, of course, they start talking about how this stimulus is going to be spent, and it goes down, down, down. Again, we're not a big position in China. We've just done our entry level, and we got several more positions to add to it if it gets better. But, what I'm starting to pick up, we're going to help People finish the apartments that are under construction because people are getting stiff because they can't make the money. And they have a lot of places that are vacant and they're going to do it. But you know what? I don't see. They're not giving the people any money. You know, like how we got a stimulus and everything else, a check. They're not getting anything. I didn't get a check, of course, but that's all right. You know, but this is an issue. You know, and the governor, you know, said real estate and stock market's key challenge. They want a good stock market. Well, you got to give people money to buy stocks in order to do it. If they're struggling to sit there and pay the food and they're all, you know, scared of a crash and they're putting everything they got into savings, they ain't buying stocks. And, you know, so this is going to be a choppy market. What they, you know, I mean, people jumped up here. Look at this. Get up here, then pow. Less than a week, you're down 20%. Pretty brutal. That's why people don't want to touch China. All right, two companies I'm looking at. Both are profitable. That's important because a few years ago they weren't profitable. Airbnb, #1 worldwide rental. I know Airbnb millionaires. Buy a house on a lake, rent it out on Airbnb, you're making a fortune. Again, you own the property and it's key, and now you got home builders buying that property and going to rent it out, kind of like Airbnb. You know, we'll just rent it out. We don't need Airbnb. We can just work with the local real estate market. So this has slowly come up. The trouble is this stop was up, and look at the 200-day moving average. It's still below it, but it's getting close. It's getting close. I want it to break above the 200-day moving average on a stock like this, because you could hold this stock for a long time. You know, if you come back up here, look at this thing. You've been losing money this year. Everything else that we got has been making money. So this is when we want to get above the 200-day moving average before we buy it. The other one, Uber, profitable. I remember when Uber was burning cash faster than you. I think, man, is this company going to even make it? Because they were just spending money. They're making money now. 15% revenue growth. They dominate the market. They got Uber Eats. There was rumor that they might actually buy Expedia because the CEO works for Uber. Used to run Expedia. So again, nice chart. This is a nice break. This is up here. It broke what you could call it double top, triple top, whatever you want. And I thought, okay, we're ready to buy it. It broke above the trend finally, and then it dropped back. So next week could be. You could see this green volume. They bought a lot of things with the news, and you know, earnings 3 months from now. So we're talking August, September, October, November. So I think you need to get into Uber before the revenues because I think the revenues are going to be good. Will it grow 15%? Even if it grows 10, 15, you know, it's still good, solid numbers. They're profitable. They're dominant. They're worldwide. This is a mega thing. Could you imagine, you know, if they had the ability to buy these remote vehicles and put them in part of the Uber fleet? They got the money to buy the vehicles. Now you don't have to pay the driver. You own it. That's what I'm looking. And then Uber trucks, Uber delivery, all these things. Remember, they're delivering food and Uber Eats. Oh, I need to get a package to Chicago. Here it is. Call up Uber, takes it to Chicago for $20. You know, cheaper than mailing it sometimes. So I'm thinking way in advance. Uber, a lot of stuff in transport that Uber could do. And they got the money, and if people get them remote vehicles, they're going to be a big player. So I think a lot of good things happen. A lot of good things. I use Uber all the time. So the next sector, we have made the software sector over 14 stocks. Remember, we went from 11 sectors to 14. And I put software separately because it really is tech, but it really isn't tech. You know, it's hardware and there's software. And I decided to split them because I think these are different types of companies. Now, we only own Microsoft, so we're underweight in it. And here's the Microsoft chart. And, of course, Microsoft chart's been, wow, big up and down. Boom, boom, boom. Here's our August lows. Good, solid company, $3 trillion. Going to make it. Coming up to a triangle. It's going to break out which way? My bet is upward. Again, Microsoft, you know, is going to look forward. I think it's a good stock. It's a solid stock. Double-digit growth every year. 15%. You know, you see that 15% in a lot of these tech companies? That's good. You're going to grow. And when you're doing $1 trillion market cap, $3 trillion, and you can grow 15%, that's pretty amazing. What do we like in these things? You know, I'm not a fan. I mean, you know, everybody wants to get into security, and these are the big ones in software. And I'm not a fan of a lot of these. You know, they're very niche markets like CrowdStrike Security and IBM is consulting and Salesforce is CRM and customer relation management. I'm just not into it. I mean, these are numbers that are nice. Now, ServiceNow, I'm kind of been watching. It's does a lot of work in the fixing the stuff in the techs. Call ServiceNow, right now it'll be there now. But I look at this one, Coinbase. That's kind of interesting. Losing money. Ugh. Can they cut the fees down? That's what I want to see Coinbase, because you're paying a high percentage every time you trade, unless you want to pay the annual, the monthly thing to free trade, and I think it could do better. I think it could do better. Other ones, like I said, security software, a lot of people like it, and I understand it, but if I buy anybody, it might be Coinbase. But I got to get some indication they're going to get profitable. And the heat map, pretty mixed. I mean, a lot more green than red. That's always a good sign. Of course, our Exxon Mobil went down, and we're not in United Health or Lilly or AMD, so we missed the big ones in here. But all the oil sector. I mean, you go from mid-70s down to 68, it's going to be red. And a little bit on Meta, it went down, but it's 2% after. We're up so much on Meta, it's crazy. So we expect, remember, brace yourself for the 1, 2, 3, 4 bad weeks, 5 to 20% correction in the next 3 months, and it will be painful. You will think the world is end, but it's just going to be a correction. We'll get through it. Otherwise, have a good week. I know it's a long show, and enjoy the weekend.